In the swirling depths of time, the year 1980 marked more than just the beginning of a new decade. For numismatists and history enthusiasts, it gave birth to a modest yet enduring relic, an Australian coin that continues to echo stories from a continent brimming with wonder. This coin, often overlooked in the grand treasury of world currencies, captures more than just monetary value. It carries whispers of a nation's evolving identity. Asterisk, as the 1980s dawned over Australia, the country stood on the edge of rapid transformation. Politically, economically, and socially, tides were shifting. Amid this backdrop, the Royal Australian Mint produced coins that would silently bear witness to this national journey. Whether it was tucked away in a dusty drawer or exchanged over counters in bustling Sydney markets, this coin played its humble part in everyday Australian life. Asterisk, what makes this coin more than just a piece of metal is the story it tells in silence. Minted in copper nickel with precision and pride, it bore on one side the ever-familiar face of Queen Elizabeth II, a constant reminder of Australia's enduring connection with the British monarchy. Yet the coin itself was purely Australian, in soul practical, resilient, and subtly proud. Asterisk, the obverse side of the coin, bearing the regal profile of the Queen, was designed by Arnold Machina, British sculptor whose work traveled the world via coins and stamps. His portrayal of Her Majesty is soft yet formal, a perfect symbol of continuity. It is remarkable how a single portrait, refined and consistent, can carry so much symbolism across countless pockets and decades. Asterisk, turn the coin, and Australia truly reveals itself. Depending on its denomination, you might find a bounding kangaroo, a feisty platypus, or a curious lyrebird. These were not just aesthetic choices but a deliberate celebration of Australian fauna, making the nation's wildlife part of everyday commerce. The design told anyone who looked that Australia was unique, proud, and deeply tied to its land. Asterisk, but the coin did more than symbolize. It moved. It passed from the weathered hands of outback farmers to the youthful palms of city teens. It jingled in jukeboxes and helped buy cinema tickets, groceries, and fuel. In a pre-digital world, it carried value in the purest sense, tangible, trusted, and visible. Every scratch on its surface was a fingerprint of history. Asterisk, in 1980, Australia's economy was growing, but not without challenges. Inflation danced high, and industries adapted to global shifts. The coinage reflected a need for durability and trust. That's why coins like this were crafted to last physically and culturally. Their presence reminded citizens of reliability in an uncertain world. Asterisk. Many of these coins vanished into the mists of time, lost, melted, discarded. Yet those that remain have grown in character. Their luster may have dulled, but their charm has only intensified. A coin that once seemed ordinary has now become a miniature time capsule, quietly preserving an era many have forgotten. Asterisk, collectors today don't just see metal, they see memory. Holding this 1980 Australian coin is like holding a piece of yesterday's solid cool and honest. It doesn't lie. It doesn't exaggerate. It simply exists, inviting anyone curious enough to ask where it's been and what it's seen. Asterisk, the Royal Australian Mint produced millions of coins that year, yet every surviving specimen has its own journey. Some traveled abroad in tourists' pockets, others remained local, gathering decades of stories in purses, drawers, and jars. And some, like yours, survived long enough to be celebrated for their endurance. Asterisk, beyond the economy and the designs lies something more poetic. This coin is a link across generations. A grandparent may have once bought ice cream for a child with it, and now, decades later, that same child now grown finds the coin again and smiles at the memory. It is currency, yes, but it is also continuity. Asterisk, Australia has since updated its coinage, changed its designs, even discussed moving away from the monarchy. But this 1980 coin stays rooted in its time, unchanging, unhurried, untouched by the revisions of modernity. That stillness is its power. Asterisk, imagine the conversations this coin might have overheard. The rustle of newspapers in a 1980 Melbourne cafe, the clatter of goods in a Brisbane market, the joy of children running to buy candy, clutching this coin like a treasure. Its ears were made of metal, but they absorbed the sounds of real lives. Asterisk, and now, decades later, this coin resurfaces not to spend, but to be honored. Its value no longer lies in cents, but in sentiment. It may not buy goods anymore, but it buys stories, wonder, and connection. That's a different kind of wealth. Asterisk. In a world where everything is turning digital, holding something as tangible as a 1980 coin reminds us that value is not just in numbers but in moments. This coin isn't just old, it's wise. It teaches patience, survival, and the quiet magic of ordinary things. Asterisk, so, when you hold your 1980 Australian coin in your hand, you are not just touching metal. You are shaking hands with time itself. You are listening to an echo from an era that trusted coins more than codes. You are honoring a chapter of Australia's story, one that lives on, round and silent, in the palm of your hand.